In the next 11 videos, I am going to talk about budgeting, which is master budgeting. But in this video, I'll begin with expected cash collection. That is how much cash will be collected within a month, within the month after sales, or 2 months following the month of sales. Okay. I will try to be as quickly as possible since we have multiple videos on the same topic. Here we have an exercise that requires us to prepare a schedule of expected cash collection from sales. It is impossible to know how much cash will be collected without knowing how much sales. You need to budget for sales before you can know how much will be collected. That is why in this exercise we have been given April sales, May and June sales respectively. These are needed to know how much cash will be collected. So it seems like it's a quarter. That's why I put here quarter total. So second quarter of the year for this company called Silver Company. And remember, whenever you do a statement of any kind, remember to put the title of the statement. Okay. So sales budget, and we have expected cash collection here. Let's go ahead and begin and put in the numbers here. So in April, the company budgeted to sell 300,000, and in May they budgeted to sell 500,000, and in June 200,000. Okay, so what I can do is I can sum up all these to have the quarter total of $1 million. Now you will notice that I've highlighted February and March in red ink. These 2 months are not part of the quarter total that we are looking for, but we needed to find further information that will be asked to. And that is why in this problem we have been given February sales. So it says here February sales total 230,000. And March total 260,000. Okay. Let's go ahead. So this is the budgeted sales of the company. Okay, so the company have budgeted that in April, this is what they're going to sell May, June, respectively, and they want to know how much cash will be collected within each month. Okay, and we know what all an account is. That means everything we sold, we did not collect cash at the time of sales. Okay, we sold it, so sellers or buyers will pay us later. Okay, now let's go into the problem. So the problem we have here says, from past experience, the company has learned that 20% of month sales are collected in the month of sale. Okay, in the month of sale. So whatever the company says, only 20% of that will be collected within that month. So I would say month of sale, only 20% will be collected. So what we will do is 20% times what was sold in April. So in April, only 20% will be collected, and you can just drag it all the way to the end. So in May, 20% of May sales will be collected. In June, only 20% of June sales will be collected in June, and then 20% will be collected at the end of the total. Okay. Now, I hope that makes sense. Let's move on to the next one. So here it says, another 70% are collected in the month following sales. Okay, so 70% collected in a month following sales. So the month following sales, 70% is collected. So whatever we sell in April, 70% will be collected in May. Okay, that means we will collect 70% of March sales in April. Okay, now you know why I have highlighted these 2 months and included them here, although they are not part of the quarter. Okay, so 70% of the previous month will be received in this month, and 70% of this month will be received in the next month. That's what it's saying. 70% are collected in the month following the sale. Okay, so the month following March sale is April. So 70% of March will be collected. So let's put it here, 70% times March will be collected in April. And you can just drag it all the way here, okay? So you have it here, 70% of April will be collected in May, 70% of May will be collected in June. And then you can add up the total of how much will be collected at the end of the quarter for the 70, regarding the 70%. Okay, now we have it. Let's move on and do the next one. Here it says, and 10% are collected in the second month of the sale. So 10% collected in the second month of the sale. When we come here, that means whatever we sell in April, 10% will be collected in June. Okay, which means whatever we sell in March, 10% will be collected in May. Whatever we sold in April, the second month, 10% will be collected. Whatever we sell in February, 10% will be collected in April. So that is why we needed these 2 months to know how much will be collected in the second month after sale. So I will put in my second month after sale here, and we know 10%. So 10% times whatever was sold in February. Okay. So whatever was sold in February with the 10% will be collected in April. So we can drag it all the way to June, and you can tell it just reference everything. So 10% in April will be collected in June. And also you can total it right here, total everything that was collected. So 79,000 will be collected here. And now you want to know how much will be collected in each month, okay? Total cash collection, I'll do this bold. So total cash collection in each month. So you can use the auto sum to add up everything that was collected in April. And then you can just drag everything all the way here, and that will total everything for you, okay? So in April, 265,000 of cash will be collected. In May, 336,000 of cash will be collected. In June, 420,000 will be collected. And at the end of the quarter, that is April, May, and June, 1,021,000 will be collected as cash collection in sale. So this is the budgeted, this is how companies budget how much cash will be collected. They know how much to spend within specific month. Okay, the second question, we are required to assume that the company will prepare a budgeted balance sheet as of June 30th. Okay, compute the account receivable as of that account. So there we go. Okay, so imagine the company, everything will be ended. The company will prepare a budget or balance sheet at the end of June. That is at the end of the quarter. How much money will be expecting to be collected from buyers at the end of June. Okay, and we know here in June, whatever that was sold, okay, whatever that was sold in June, only 20% will be collected in June, okay? So once you know whatever we sold in June, only 20% will be collected. That means 80% is not collected at the end of June. So 70% here is not collected and 10% here is not collected. So that means 80% is not collected at the end of June. Okay, so what you will do is you can just compute the 80% that is not collected at the end of June. So that will be whatever we sold in June times 0.8, or 80% is not collected at the end of June. So whatever says we sold in June, 80% is not collected yet. And according to our information that we have here, okay, everything will be collected except May. Okay, so May, 20% of May sales will be collected in May. and 70% will be collected in June. By the end of June, at the end of June, there will be 10% outstanding that will be collected in July. But because we are doing balance sheet in June, we need to indicate that 10% is outstanding that we haven't collected yet, which will be collected in July, the month after June. So 10%, so this month sale times 10% will be collected in June. This will be outstanding cash that we have to collect. So you can just sum up these two. Okay. So at the end, this question 2, at the end of June, 210,000 will be account receivable that we are expecting to collect them in July. Okay, so at the end of June, these are money. This is the money that we'll be expecting to collect in July. Thank you for watching this video. In my next video, we'll be doing the next step in the master budget. Okay, so I will see you soon. Keep watching and subscribe as well. Thank you.